Hi, this is Paul Solt from iPhone Dev TV. We're going to wrap up this tutorial on getting this timer to work with our code in Swift and the interface on the Apple Watch app. So if you've enjoyed watching these videos, click the like button on YouTube and subscribe for more updates on how to get started with Apple Watch. All right, so what we're going to look at in here is how we can get the timer that we're setting in code with the NSTimer to work with our WKInterfaceTimer, which is running on the Apple Watch, whereas our NSTimer is running on the iPhone app in an extension. What we're going to do in here is we just really need to set the starting time for the watch timer. So I'm going to click down in the start button pressed, your action that you set up for that start button on the left corner there that you can see on the Apple Watch. And we're just going to say watch timer dot set date, not start date, set date. And you can get more information about this method if you click that more button. And this is going to take us to the WatchKit timer interface. And unfortunately, it doesn't take us down to the appropriate method. And I don't see anything on the left, which is kind of annoying because that should show us the different attributes like set date so that we can jump to them. And here you can see the new starting time. So it should be able to count up and it should be able to count down. It'll count up if you set it to 0 from what I've seen, and it'll count down if you set it to a non-zero. So let's go in here and create a duration or a start date. And we can't just pass in, if you look at the message signature, I'll pull that up. And of course, quick help doesn't work with Swift. Okay. Super fun. If I back up and get rid of the parentheses and then I hit escape after set date, then we get sort of the preview. And we can see that it takes a date object. So we need to create a date object using our duration. And there is a method that we can use to create that date. So let's go ahead and create an NSDate. And then you're going to do an open parentheses. Now we're going to see the options that we have here. And the most important one that we're going to want is the time interval since now. So the moment the user presses this start button, that's the time that we want to use. And then using our reference time, which we want to be 3 minutes to count down, we're going to say, okay, I want 3 minutes into the future. And so NSTimerInterval here is the number of seconds, which is going to be 180. So 60 times 3 is 180. That's going to give us 3 minutes from now. And we can just plug that in. If you did any of the other options, you're going to get different results. If you do it since 1970, I don't know what it's going to do, but that's a long time ago, so it's going to display maybe a negative time. Play around with it if you really want to. We're going to go with the time interval since now, which is this one right here. So you should see that appear right here. Now, since we have a property called duration, we can just pass that in, and this is going to keep our timer as well as the WatchKit timer in sync so that when the display actually ends, we should get a notification about it. So let's stop and rerun. We see the 3. This is just what we wrote in the interface. We'll click on here to activate the window. I'll hit the start button, and you can see that it counted down from 3. So it didn't count down from the 3 minutes. Remember, we set it to 3 seconds so that we could just test to make sure the functionality is working, and that was pretty good. So now if you want to test the full thing, if I want to count down from something like 3 minutes, I'm going to stop and run. And you'll be able to hit start here. For some reason, you need to get the focus here. It's not doing the clicks. Normally, I feel like it'll... Oh, the reason it's not doing that is because the focus is not... Normally, when you run an iPhone app, the iPhone pops up, but there's currently, I think, a workaround, which means that you have to select the window first and then get it working because your simulators don't appear. If I cover up this window, just to show you what I mean, and I hit start, normally the simulator would come to the front. For whatever reason, it doesn't. You can see that it popped up down here in the background. So that's a little bit annoying, which is why you have to sometimes double click because you have to get the window selected. Then you can start the timer. So we count down. Now you can see it's working. It's counting down from 3 minutes. Now, I really want this to be positional time. So let's go to our interface. We'll change the format to positional. All right, with that being positional, we now should be able to click on this window and then hit start. and boom, we've got the shorthand notation. Now, I've noticed that this just doesn't work when we have small values. So if I were to put in 3 seconds or something like that for our duration, we're going to notice something. Let's see what happens. What does the display look like? We'll hit start over here. I click start, and you see it's just the 1. So the positional format is not forming correctly. Our done timer ended. If you're working with WatchKit right now, there's something wrong with, I believe, the formatter for positional time. I played around with it a little bit more. So this is the bug. The closest you can get is the abbreviated. It's still not going to be ideal. It's not going to be that small amount. So if you need a really short timer, that's not going to work. The other thing to keep in mind is the way we create these apps is going to be a little bit different. There is no way, maybe a slider, I'm not even sure. We don't have a whole lot of control here. In terms of user interaction, you can't add gestures. You can't control gestures at all. That's all defined by the OS. The only thing you have are button taps. You have on-off switches. You've got labels. You've got a picture of a map. It's not really interactive. You can't do much with it. I guess you can zoom in with the crown on the side of the device, but you can't actually even get any access right now to the crown in your app. So I'd ideally like to set a timer or something on my watch, and I don't think that's possible with this current version of the SDK. So if there's something you want and it's not there right now, what I'm going to recommend is that you go to bugreport.apple.com, and here is where you can submit bugs about features. So if you click on a new bug, you can go to iOS, and classification, you're going to go a enhancement, reproducibility, you can do not applicable or always, probably not applicable. And then you can say something here about Apple Watch. And we probably want to talk about WatchKit, Apple WatchKit. And we probably just need WatchKit. So here you could just say WatchKit doesn't work with positional time in the timer, and you could submit that bug. That would be super useful. The more bugs that get submitted for the same thing, the sort of a higher priority that Apple looks into those types of bugs, especially if they're showstoppers. So some of those you might classify as a serious bug or a UI bug, something that's going to stop you from getting your app done or breaking your apps. This is a great thing that everyone should be doing, especially since WatchKit is so new. The stuff that you submit now is really going to help drive change in the later versions of WatchKit. So I do recommend submitting any bug reports. This is super useful. You can see I've submitted a bunch of bugs. Some of them are duplicates. That's okay. I used to get down when I saw that my bug was a duplicate, but then I realized after reading some of the stuff that the Apple engineers post is that the more duplicates, the better, because it sort of brings it more to the forefront. It brings it more to the attention of the developers at Apple. So that's always a good thing. Submit your bugs. There's a bunch of fields in here that you have to fill out. If it's a feature request that you want some new feature, something like that, just post it in here. So that is WatchKit. You can get started today with WatchKit. You can make some simple applications. You are limited in what you can do. You cannot make the next Flappy Bird for Apple Watch right now. That's not possible. So there are limitations here. Remember, there's really no way to interact with the watch using the SDK that we have now other than through Apple's built-in interactions. And we have the scroll views and things like that, but you can't create a custom user interface. The closest thing that you can do right now is to create an entire set of PNG files, and then you can load them up. And that's what the Lister app does. If I pull open this app real quick, just to give you a preview. Lister is an app that Apple wrote that you can test out, and we can open up this Apple Watch app so that you can see what it's like. If I run the Lister Watch app, you'll see that this is a list of groceries, and I can check things. And this is going to sync with my iPhone app. So there's actually an iPhone app here that I can read and write to the same things. And hopefully if I click on groceries, we'll see that we crossed off oranges and bananas. And you see that is crossed off here. If I do bread, that's going to mark it as red. Right now, it's not going to update on the Apple Watch. We actually have to go back out and back in to see that update. So there are some limitations in the communications between these two apps But this is a good example to look at. It is very complex, so you might get a little bit overwhelmed with what they're doing in here. And hopefully they'll explain more of how these interactions work. But this is good sample code that you can download from the Apple website. And that is right here, developer.apple.com/watchkit. If you just scroll all the way to the bottom, we have all these great links, and the lister app is right here. And actually, this would probably be also very useful, the WatchKit catalog. I haven't opened this up, but if I just download it, I'll be able to take a look at it. And so when you click on the link, there's a little download button. It's a little bit hidden. I don't know why it's in the top left corner, but not all the way in the left corner or all the way in the right corner. Click that. That's going to download it so that you can get started with it. All right, so that's my little tutorial on getting started with the WatchKit and how you can learn to start making apps for your watch. Again, there are limitations, but it doesn't hurt to look at how this is going to work, especially if you know that you are going to create an app that's going to work with the Apple Watch. So what we've seen in this video is how to create your very first Apple Watch app, how to design the user interface, a little bit about that, a little bit about the design guidelines. Remember, black background so that your app sort of just fits in with the interface, and not to use as many flashy colors. That's one of the design guidelines for the Apple Watch. So right now we're kind of breaking those constraints, but that's because we want to test things. We want to understand how the system works so that we can get started. And you don't need to limit yourself based on the limitations of what you eventually submit. Right now, it's about you, and it's about learning as quickly and efficiently as possible. So if you like this little tutorial on getting started with an Apple Watch app, click the like button and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll be putting together some new videos in the 4K resolution. If you like that, let me know below, and I'll keep doing the 4K resolution. Otherwise, we'll jump maybe back down to a lower resolution because this is a massive video size. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you for watching.